This is exactly what you think it is, Terry. So here we go. You could hear this. This was made with AI, and I think it gets to the heart of why there was a major strike in Hollywood and why no matter how hard we try, it's going to be very difficult to overcome. Listen to this. This is a Steve made this uh made this for me. Here, let's hear this here. And RA, there's a guy named Shelby Matthew who's trying to get into the meeting now. If you could go look and send him a direct Zoom link, I'd appreciate it. So listen to this here.
When it comes to real estate, there's no limitation. Gotta break the mold with some innovation. Listen up, y'all. I got a revelation. It's coronation, the ultimate sensation. It's the way to separate from the mundane. It's the key to make your business sustain. Let that move and set your mind in motion. It's the ultimate devotion. It's the ultimate devotion.
Okay, I won't go on much longer with it. Steve, thanks for joining me. That was a gift from Steve. Great guy. You know, I just got, that was made with AI. That wasn't a real human singing. That wasn't a real instrument played. That was like, basically, it was nothing. And that's what we're up against. And Steve just saw an app that I was using, or he learned it at the same time that I was using it and said, hey, let me take it a step further. Now, what does this mean from a sales standpoint, or from a standpoint or perspective of what we're trying to accomplish? I think it's everything. And I've said this, and I'm going to say this in every single one of our meetings. There's no longer an excuse not to have content. You simply don't have the excuse not to have content. You don't have to make any of it. You could cheat the whole thing. You could cheat it well. I hope you don't, but I think that there's no excuse for that. And since this meeting is really committed to helping you grow in your business, whether that be anything, either in real estate or otherwise, that's what we're trying to do. So that's my comment for today. Steve, you're a good guy. Thank you for sending that to me. If you find a way to actually, I need to download that file itself, and I can't seem to get it off.
You couldn't, yeah, I have to figure out a way to get it to you, because I think it's like 2 megs. So I don't know if you have like a Dropbox or something, or in some way to, I think if I email it to you, it's too big.
As soon as I hear it, I just say to myself, I'm Casey Kasem.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Margot doesn't know Casey Kasem. She's
right, yes.
A few people that don't, and Harris doesn't know Casey Kasem.
Top 40.
Aton probably doesn't know Casey Kasem. Right. Okay, Terry knows Casey Kasem, right? Okay, that was American's Top 40. It was my favorite thing on the weekends. And you know, Margot, just so you know, Margot's my niece, everyone. I want everyone to meet Margot Nykirk. She is my niece, and I invited her here today because well, you'll find out in a moment. But Margot, your mom and I used to love Casey Kasem on the weekends. That was, you could ask your mom about Casey Kasem. Anyway, enough with Casey Kasem. We're talking about crypto and real estate and crypto in life and what's going on. That's why I had invited Margot to the meeting. Everyone has got a opinion on just about everything. Margot, you know what? But before I speak for you anymore, can you just introduce yourself to everyone and tell everyone what you do?
Yeah, sure. Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. I'm Margot. I'm Ed's niece. But in this capacity, I'm, well, you know, my day job is I'm an Ethereum reporter for a crypto news outlet. So I spend my days writing stories about what's going on in the crypto space. And yeah, so I'm here sort of to clarify some stuff for y'all, any questions you have, because that is sort of my
Okay, so the DM, and just Daniel who's watching this now, because there's a bunch of people trying to get in, look at the last comment on the Facebook page, the ChatGPT and Real Estate Mastermind. There's a guy who just made a comment saying interested. Everyone who said interested, you should get them in. Okay, I can't do any more than this right now because I'm trying to run the meeting. But you know, so Margot, bring this. Explain to us just briefly again, and everyone has an understanding of crypto, but just what is it and why should we care?
Yeah, so crypto is a, you know, in its basic form is like a digital currency. Basically what that means is that like everything that you can do online, like now in terms of transactions, you can do on this like new and evolved technology called blockchain. To back it up, like where does crypto fit into this, right? Like we have cash and we have banks, we have credit cards. Like why is there a need for crypto? So crypto, like the history around this, it was born out of the '08 crisis. Basically there was a white paper. Well, the idea of like having digital cash has been around for like since like the '80s, but I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with Bitcoin. That's like the original cryptocurrency that was written by a guy called Satoshi Nakamoto. And basically like what happened was that like we assume it's a he. We actually don't know who Satoshi is. It's a, synonymous name. Could be a woman. But maybe it could be multiple people. No one knows who Satoshi is. But basically the creator of Bitcoin had said that they were fed up with what had happened in '08, that there were these banks who controlled your money, and you don't really see what goes on behind the scenes, and where your money goes. And so why don't we create a technology, a digital ledger, where all of this is visible, and where the power of owning and transacting your own money is in the user's hands and not in like some centralized institution. And so that's where Bitcoin was sort of created, and the idea of crypto was created. But Bitcoin is like the first iteration of that crypto. I don't know. Do you want me to keep going?
No. Well, just we'll go forward with this because to me, money. I've got my coffee here, which I
Sure.
bought with money. Ultimately, my shirt, my tag, everything. We're all very familiar with spending. I always say that they should teach a course in how to save in school, not spend. But that's for another time. So we get all that, but like, when will I be able to run down the street and buy my coffee using crypto?
I mean, it's really hard to predict that. I think the ultimate barrier right now with crypto, because I'm sure you guys have heard about other coins, not just Bitcoin at this point, right? Like I mentioned, I'm an Ethereum reporter. I'm sure you guys have all heard about Dogecoin, like these stupid dog meme coins. But the biggest barrier right now is probably like user interface. And a lot of this is just like difficult to navigate right now when you create a crypto wallet or transact on the blockchain. There's a lot of like clunkiness to it in terms of like there's no backup recovery a lot of the time. Like if you lose your passphrase, you don't really have the ability to access your crypto anymore. And so a lot of this right now in terms of, when you want to go and buy your coffee, but like we all sort of forget our passwords. I forget my email passwords all the time. But if you're logged out of your financial mechanisms, like that's a big problem. So I think right now, like the biggest barrier, that's like the biggest barrier to entry right now, but also like there's a lot of confusion around regulation in terms of like how, like, I mean, I guess it's all legal at this point for the most part, but what, like, what's a security, what's a commodity, like, how are you supposed to report this stuff? So, I don't want to say like you can go now to Starbucks and pay in Bitcoin anytime soon. Maybe in the next 5 to 10, well, let's be conservative, maybe the next 10 years. But it really just depends on like the regulatory environments where this is all headed in terms of this digital money. And also more importantly, like user interface and UX.
Okay, so we'll unpack all of that in a minute. I can't help but look at my friend in Portugal who was nodding when you said you lost the code or something. Eitan, was the reaction for a reason? You want to just talk about that briefly? Tell everyone who you are and where you are.
My name is Eitan Benzeno. I'm a realtor in Miami. I'm currently in Lisbon. And so in 2011 or 12, I did I did buy some Bitcoins. And, I completely lost the wallet. And since then, I've been looking for it. Probably had $20, $25 in Bitcoins back then. So it's probably today a lot of money. And,
what was hold on, $25?
I had this list of 12 words.
Yeah,
that allowed me to
the
recuperate
phrase.
the wallet. And I did find 3 pieces of paper that had those words, and every one of those wallets was empty. So I went through like
Oh,
a year and a half of searching all my hard drives, and
So Eitan, $25 bought how much Bitcoin at the time?
I have no idea. I don't recall. I mean, this was just like an obscure experiment. I wanted to just test it out, and you
mhm.
know,
Yeah,
I had no use for it. It wasn't useful in any way. I couldn't buy anything with it, you know.
but if
And
you had the code now, you quite possibly could retire on it, right?
I think so. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay.
it
So
reached 71,000 not long ago,
yeah,
Mhm.
and I think back then it was 50 cents maybe.
yeah.
Eitan, do you remember, do you know what wallet you used? Because I might have a solution for you, actually.
No way.
Wait.
No.
Okay. So
So
listen, you two get beer and
yeah,
chips
why
after
don't
this.
you send me a message? I know some people who might be able to, yeah,
Really.
yeah, I did a profile on them. So yeah.
And
Uh,
just to put in perspective, Eitan and I have been friends for a very, very long time. We're fraternity brothers, and I love to fuck with them. Damn it, Eitan, you really need the money. We got to get the code. Where's the code, Eitan? Anyway, that's kind of the fraternity brother life here. But let's bring it back here. I want to bring it into real estate a little bit. A lot of people have been talking about, illicit activity that might be going on with Bitcoin. Is there more of a reason to be concerned about things like crypto when it comes to illicit transactions? And then I want to bring it into real estate and what implications might be there.
I mean, there's definitely concern, right? There's like, I think that's the big news story everywhere is every time I mean, I see it too, always. We think a lot of the industry is scam and illicit money. But I think like the technology itself, I don't think is necessarily illicit. I think a lot of it is, so I don't know, maybe I can share my screen in a little bit, but
Sure.
because I can show you how the blockchain works if you want to
Go
see.
ahead. Well, first of all, yeah, let's back up 2 steps.
Yeah.
Blockchain. Explain to me as if I'm 6.
Sure. So blockchain is the technology. No, this is my job. I saw someone laughing. I have to explain like someone's 5 all the time. So this is good. This is a good activity for me. But so blockchain is the technology that powers cryptocurrency. And so how does blockchain work, right? You have your wallet, you set up your address, you want to like, I don't know, send someone 5 Bitcoins. You have you just like a bank account to from, and you go and you send it, and that transaction gets recorded, and it gets added to a block, right? So a block consists of a bunch of transactions. Because this is a digital ledger and it's visible to everyone, anyone can see what kind of transaction really happens on the blockchain. So you can log on to the blockchain, if you have the capability to sort of watch it. Because again, all of this user interface is kind of complicated. You can go on, you can see that transaction take place, and that gets approved. There's a whole bunch of technological complexities behind this, but basically the transaction gets approved by a bunch of computers. It gets added to a block, and then that transaction becomes immutable. So you see it take place, and you can't do anything to reverse it. So it's a great way to sort of like track and record transactions and records without being able to manipulate that, as you move forward. And so
Well, hold on, let me just slow it down. So if it's so trackable, then
yes, yeah,
shouldn't the bad guys not want it?
yeah. But honestly, what a lot of people sort of misunderstand is that a lot of government agencies actually have this like capability to. I've talked to some people who do a lot of like KYC work or AML work, anti-money laundering. And because everything is like recorded and on the blockchain, they're able to track very easily where this money goes. But the problem here is that a lot of the times, we have to figure out certain addresses are kind of like ambiguous. And so once you sort of like flag that address, which you should think as an address as like a bank account or a credit card, once you flag that, you're able to sort of see, okay, here's some illicit activity happening. There's also like technologies that make it a little bit more obscure. So they try to hide certain like illicit transactions take place. But in reality, like Yeah, you can see that very easily take place if you have those tools to understand how it works. And it goes back to the, when we were having this conversation in the beginning, that a lot of this is just UI and UX that we don't.
Okay, UI, UX, but for some 5-year-old, what is a UX?
User experience.
Okay, and UI?
User interface. So
Okay.
everything just in terms of like on the user end, having difficulties with trying to understand, and just like a lot of it is clunky. I mean, a lot of it is still in its early days. So just like the internet, remember how like crappy the internet was in the beginning? Now all we do is sit on the internet. So that's sort of where we are in terms of blockchain.
Yeah.
So okay. So to back up, you submit a transaction, a bunch of computers approve it, the transaction gets added to a block, and the block then becomes immutable. It's added to this digital ledger, and then, and a block consists of multiple transactions, and then the next block gets added, and then the next block gets added, and the same thing keeps going. And so there's this chain of a bunch of blocks filled with transactions and history. And when I use the word transaction, like you can also, it can be as simple as like sending money and receiving money, but it could also be like running an application, or buying Bitcoin, or
buying real estate.
Signing a contract on the blockchain. And so a lot of that is just recorded in this like digital public ledger for everyone to see.
Let me open it up for some questions. First of all, I don't know if I haven't yet. So have any of you done any transactions in cryptocurrency? Nobody. Crickets. Okay. Hello? Anyone? Avez-vous compris? No, maybe? Okay. Well, so we haven't, has it even been a thought of yours? Has there been anything, did I do the wrong topic today? Did I fuck up?
It's been discussed here in New York City, but
tell everyone who you are again, Terry.
Oh, I'm in my office in New York City, Brooklyn, the coolest place in the world. And I've had a lot of coffee, so you're going to have to keep up. Cryptocurrency has been discussed as a way to, here in New York City, has been discussed as a way to transact, but I'm not aware of any deals that have come to fruition in that regard. And it's not been a topic of conversation for a while. So,
but given the blockchain nature of it, given the fact that it seems so trackable, which again, I just don't understand. It's contrary to what we're hearing about the illegal people, cocaine and all this horrible people that are doing terrible things. It just seems to me that goes right along the lines of what a title insurance company should love. Anyone agree or disagree? Maybe?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
I can clarify some of that because it is counterintuitive. And I agree, right? Like I said, a lot of these government agencies I know the Israeli government has a lot of tools to sort of track this. I mean, there was, the horrible October 7th attack, and Hamas used a lot of crypto. And I know from some sources that they've been having these capabilities. They're able to track sort of that happening, but also the US government has a lot of these capabilities. How this sort of ties into like, why are these illicit groups turning towards crypto? A lot of this has to do with the premise of like why crypto exists. And that is to sort of, remember, like it's sort of to take control out of the banks and return control to the user. So when banks are sort of approached like, okay, you can't create accounts, or certain groups are sanctioned, and you can't use the traditional financial system, you turn towards an alternate financial system. So for a lot of people, there's good and bad in this, like, right, a lot of people in countries where there's like high inflation, and we use the US dollar, but for them, they want something where they can control their own money because their governments are up to all sorts of.
El Salvador is the only country where crypto.
Sorry about that.
Their governments are all up to all sorts of things where they can't rely on their financial system. So crypto is sort of that intermediary to give them back control. And that same goes for these like, these terrorist groups and other groups that participate in illicit finance, because they're not allowed to participate in the traditional financial system. They've turned to crypto because they can, themselves transact on it. Now, then the government, can sanction certain addresses and certain wallets too on crypto, but that obviously, that's the crypto is there to provide like a platform to those that like are debanked or like have a barrier to entry into the traditional financial system.
Let's bring it into well, first of all, let me see, Margot, you're great, by the way, so thank you for that. I'm going to bring it open to some questions here. First of all, Dina's Arnold Horshack. Anyone remember Arnold Horshack aside from Terry? Ooh, pick me. Okay, good. Dina, want to introduce yourself and ask your question?
Hi, I'm Dina Ulrich, and I am on Ed's team in Boca Raton, Florida. But I have a question. So I find this so interesting. But am I correct that did you say earlier that every transaction is public, that somebody could actually see it?
Yes.
So like if there are these terrorists and drug dealers and whatever, they're not concerned that like somebody who with knowledge, obviously not me because I know nothing, but someone like you or say a government could actually just see everything they're doing?
Yeah, so there is like this gets where it gets a little bit more complicated. So at the core, you can see everything. Now there are tools that have come into, this is a little bit more advanced, but there are tools where sort of like they group a bunch of transactions together. Because remember, like how I sort of explained how the blockchain works, it's a bunch of transactions that are entered together into a block. So there's these things called mixers, and where you can submit your transaction, and before you send it over to where it needs to be sent over, it's put into this thing called a mixer. It mixes up a bunch of transactions to obfuscate sort of where did it originally come from. So there, like, there's some terrorist groups that have like, a lot of North Korean hacking groups, for instance, like have these tools and capacities where they sort of obfuscate, like
obfuscate. What does obfuscate mean?
Sorry, like they get unclear. So they sort of mix, like it's in the word mix, right? They mix up a bunch of transactions, so you can't really follow where it originally came from. Now, I'm not an expert in anti-money laundering, so I can't really explain the mechanics behind it. From what I've understood in like my reporting is that there are people who are, if you have like a basic training in anti-money laundering, you can sort of eventually figure out what addresses, what wallets are sort of, what should I say?
You could find the wallet, but not necessarily the person that's associated with the wallet. That's what
Well, you don't really need to I mean, you can and can't. I mean, you can and can't. Like there's a bunch of ways to sort of identify this. So you can find a wallet and that that's like someone's information. Now, how do you like eventually find this person? Let's say like they go and cash out their crypto, right? Then they have to go to an exchange. And in an exchange, you have to give your personal information. You have to, give your, I don't know, social security number if you're a US citizen. And so there's when you join a centralized exchange like a Coinbase, right? That's the most famous one. You have to provide some information so they KYC you. And so there are ways, once you like extract that crypto and turn it into fiat wherever you are in the world, there are ways to sort of figure out who's who, or if it belongs to a certain group. But that gets more complicated. And brings other questions into privacy, right? Like maybe you don't want everything on the blockchain. Like it's great that you can see everything, but if I'm going to go buy milk, I don't want someone to have my wallet address and see like where all my money, like how much money I have in that wallet, right? So because you can see it. Anyway.
Sorry. Okay. Well, again, all very interesting food for thought with all this. I just think, it's still difficult to understand how in this world it's actually growing and becoming popular, and the implications about that I'm overseas or I've gotten Daniel's in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. Is a percentage of a Bitcoin worth the same thing to him as it is to us? And exactly, do you know of any companies right now that are using Bitcoin as a means of payroll or anything like that? Has there been legitimate use for that at this point? And John and Eitan, I'm going to get to you both in just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, so there are, I would say right now, probably the companies that are paying in crypto are probably like crypto native companies. So these are people who are like gung ho about being in the crypto space. I think like, I mean, it would depend on their contract, and crypto is so volatile, right? So some companies, they pay you in crypto, like, but they'll convert it to whatever it is in US dollars right now. And yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on where you are in the world. Again, this is not like mainstream yet. It's sort of like creeping in with these approval of Bitcoin ETFs. I'm getting way too advanced here, but when traditional finance like Wall Street is looking to offering some kind of Bitcoin financial product, that's sort of a cue that this is coming. Maybe not like in the next few months, maybe not next year, but that it will be more and more integrated into your financial life as everyone gets older. Yeah.
Before I pick on John, would you put your retirement in Bitcoin?
I probably wouldn't right now. But I'm not, we're being recorded. I'm a journalist. I'm not allowed to give financial advice.
Got it.
So that's just my personal opinion. But we are allowed to like sort of say that you should be very careful still around, like cryptocurrency. Like, don't put all your savings into crypto. It's still very volatile. Like, you should, proceed with precaution in all sorts of senses, but I wouldn't like the point of all this, I think, is that like crypto is becoming more and more part of your will become more and more part of your like financial daily lives, but it's not like replacing cash. Like, there will still be a need for cash and fiat. This is just going to be an addition, like sort of how credit cards came in addition,
So you heard it here first, everyone. Margot said, don't worry about it. Put all of your retirement.
I did not say that.
I'm just messing with you. Okay,
this.
Margot, the phones are blowing up here. John first and then Eitan. John, tell everyone who you are and where you are.
Yes, this is John Bainton. I'm in Connecticut in Fairfield County, and
Dead birds behind you still, or no?
No dead birds, just
birds, okay.
some sailboat trophies and stuff.
Okay.
So I thought one interesting thing you said, Margot, was about the wallets being transparent. So if I am like, I know we have had, I don't think it actually transacted, but we did have a home in our market maybe 3 or 4 years ago when that was advertising accepting Bitcoin as a currency. So I just would be curious. So if that were to take place and a transaction were to actually transact, would the seller know how much money of Bitcoin that person has in the wallet? And I guess you could use a separate wallet for the transaction, so you could hide that. But like, I mean, if someone's buying a $1.5 million house and they see that the person's got $15 million in there, they might be a little bit more like hesitant to negotiate on some items, right?
Yeah, definitely. And in theory, you can, like, yes, in theory, you can see sort of what the details.
You cannot see the balance, can you? No, you can see only the amount of the transaction.
Yes, exactly. But hold on. Let me, let me share. Can I share my screen? I would love to show how.
Okay, I would love to have you do it. You could certainly more than welcome. While you're getting that up, can Eitan ask his question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Eitan, go ahead.
So my understanding is that no, you cannot see the content of the wallet. All you could see on the blockchain is the wallet ID, which is anonymous because you will never be able to know whose wallet it is. It's a number that is huge with like 20 or 15 characters, and the amount that was transacted.
Okay.
And that's it. Now that information is available on multiple servers, and those servers need consensus in order to agree that the transaction is solidified or executed.
Sure.
So before you can execute a transaction on the blockchain, you need consensus from several servers that have said, yes, I've copied the information and the information is valid and correct.
Got it.
So there is a lot of security and anonymity on the blockchain. It's basically, unless you're the Israeli government, like Margot said, you won't be able to know whose wallet it is.
Well,
And now I think there's a difference between the
those were words in
currency and the
Margot's mouth. I don't
token.
know if Margot said that. Margot, did you say that?
You're right to an extent. Like, so yes, so you can, I'll pull it up in a second. My Wi-Fi is working a little slow on this website. But yes, in theory, like it's an address. I'll use Ethereum as an example just because that's my beat. So that's what I know best. So there's an address. It usually starts with an O and an X. And it's not like entirely anonymous. Like the word is more like pseudonymous. Like you sort of know the person, there's a person behind it. And there are sort of ways to figure it out, like who's who, like especially some of these bigger people, like you know, like the creator of Ethereum, his name is Vitalik. Like everyone sort of keeps track of what his addresses is and like what he's transacting and doing. But even like Justin Bieber bought an NFT. Like, remember those Bored Apes? I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the crazy monkeys, like digital art that happened like 2 years ago. Anyway, there's a bunch of celebrities that like were buying all sorts of stuff. Paris Hilton was into it too, Jimmy Fallon. And so, you know, people were able to figure out like, this is Jimmy Fallon's wallet. This is how much he's transacted for. Trump has a bunch of NFTs. Like people keep track of Trump's wallets, you know? So, so there are sort of ways to figure out who is who, but it's not like entirely clear. It's not like it says like address belongs to Donald J. Trump, you know?
But if you study the transactions, you can figure it out.
Yes. And like this is more like visible for people who are obviously advanced in this, and I'm sure there's like tools for it to be figured out, but I don't have the like I
share your screen. We're getting
yeah. Okay,
long on
so
the
let's sorry, I can go.
no worries, but
okay. I'm gonna start.
I'll always be honest. We gotta move.
No, I appreciate you keeping me on track. Okay, share screen. Let's go to, why is my Google, oh here, Google Chrome, share. Okay, do you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking at the Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum is the second biggest cryptocurrency, and a lot of applications are sort of built on it. It was sort of birthed out of Bitcoin a few years later. And so basically, like this all looks very complicated, right? You're looking at a bunch of blocks, a bunch of numbers, but basically this is what it shows, right? These are blocks that consist of transactions. And like Eitan was sort of explaining, it needs to be approved by a bunch of, let's just call them computers. The real name for them is validators. But you have to be, you know, the transaction enters a block, computers approve it, it gets added to the blockchain and becomes immutable. So here we see here, most recent blocks. So let's go into any old block.
Immutable being unchangeable.
Unchangeable, exactly. So in ink, you can't reverse it. So we're going into this block, this really high number block. So, okay, transactions.
What
200.
What does epoch mean?
Epoch is just like a measure of time. It's like a measurement in terms of like where on the blockchain it is. And same with slot. It's just like a different type of measurement. Okay. So this gets, I mean, we're getting a little bit more advanced, but see, here we are. So this is the overview of this block. There's 214 transactions in this block. And you can sort of see, this is the detail of the block. And so it's from this, you know, address, okay, and it was sent to this address. And my camera's in the way, but
it happens all the time with this thing.
Yeah. And so you can see, I guess all these say 0. I don't know why it says, oh, here we go. Okay, let's do this one. So this transaction, this is the value of the transaction that took place. This one was where was the 0.01? Okay, so this one is from this address to this address. The transaction was 0.1 of an ETH. And then
that's 1% or 10%?
That's you know, I think 1 ETH this morning was like,
that's
0.1 is times whatever the price of ETH is.
So that would be $3 or $300?
Yeah,
$3.
something like that. 1%.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a percent. It's just
It's 100th of a
it's
percent.
just one
like $1 and
one-tenth of
$1
a
is 10 cents, right? So like that's 0.1 ETH. And then this is the you have to pay taxes, right? So there's a transaction fee. So that's the tax for on the blockchain, because the more you use the blockchain, the more activity is happening on it, the more expensive your transaction is going to be. So this is
And who is that paid to?
that's paid. It's sort of like divided up to the different validators, because validators are computers. So people are running computers and they're keeping this blockchain alive. And so
that's the miners
what?
mining. This goes to the
So-
miners.
So on blockchain, so on Bitcoin, this gets more complicated. This is real, but basically on Ethereum, there's a different way of how this works. On Bitcoin, the people who help run the blockchain are called miners, and they're the ones that get this reward. On Ethereum, because it's a different mechanism, proof of stake, if you're familiar with that. So it's stakers in this case. And so basically a staker is any old person. They spin up a computer. They help. It gets really complicated in terms of like the mechanism behind it, but they basically help. They put a certain amount of ETH to make sure that the blockchain is running. And then they sort of like randomly get selected to help put transactions onto the blockchain, approve them, and then they're rewarded whatever.
It's like putting power into the grid.
Exactly.
It's like making a deposit.
The staking, yes, like when you're running the blockchain, you deposit some ETH into it and it gets locked, and that like ensures that gets, continues. Anyway,
You're
so
not
that's
sharing
You
anymore.
can share it again if you want, but we were not looking at anything at that point, so I just turned it over.
okay. Yeah, wait, hold on, let me find. Okay. So share. Okay. So we're gonna go into this transaction. We see, so let me just hold on. I need to move my okay. So 0.1 ETH. Where is that one? Okay. So this is this transaction detail.
Yeah.
So this is the data that's collected by it. It was from this wallet. This is the type of token, which is the type of crypto. There's different cryptocurrencies. Like we've been mentioning Bitcoin, Ethereum. This is like a different type of Ethereum. It's called wrapped ETH. This I actually don't know what Cosmic is.
Okay.
But it's a different type of cryptocurrency. And so this is the transaction fee, the value, and I wonder if we can, let's go. So this is where it came from. This is this wallet. Let's see.
Really trying to
go into it from here. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. So we're looking at this random person's wallet. I have no idea who this is. And here you can see
Tokens. You can see all the tokens he has.
Yeah, where's his tokens?
You can see all the
tokens.
transactions, no?
Mm-hmm. So you can see, so ERC20, I mean, this is way more advanced than I was in.
Yeah, Margo, let's keep it to a poet here.
Yeah.
Well,
this is
quickly, is this all public or are you logged in somehow?
Public. This is public. This is on, if you go to, this is the main explorer, how you can see what's happening on the blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain. And so there's the name of the Ethereum blockchain is Beacon Chain, like BEACON. And so the website for it is Beacon Chain, like chain, but there's a full stop in between the A and I.
If you give us the link and
yeah, here, I'll put it in the Zoom chat afterwards.
We'll put it up on our
But
page.
yeah, so you can see these are different type of cryptocurrencies. So in this wallet, it has 15 different type of cryptocurrencies. Let's see, I guess, yeah, this is all the transactions it's done. See, so this is the same wallet address, right? This is the full address when you see, and so it's from all these, he's been transacting a lot. It did a transaction 8 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago, 5 hours ago, 7 hours
This
ago.
person might be an active trader, essentially.
Definitely an active trader. This is definitely someone who's active, like, doing something, but these are not, and here you can see with the value of the different transactions. And so some of these are 0 ETH. It probably means that it was like interacting with an application, so remember, not everything is like a transfer in terms of money. It's just interactions on the blockchain. So this is probably someone that's blockchain native.
So is there anything more? Because again, I don't want to go so far over everyone's head with this.
No, that's fine. But anyway, I just figured here I can stop sharing. But that's sort of, you can, my point is that you can see all this on the blockchain. So in theory, like, it's all visible.
But that's the Ethereum blockchain, and is there a different blockchain for each other token?
Yeah, so there's a different explorer for Bitcoin. I actually don't know what it is because I'm you know, my focus is on Ethereum, so I spend all my time on Ethereum. But yeah, these are tools, right? Like that people have built so that you can watch what's going on. And so yeah, there you can, you know, in theory you could go to a Bitcoin Explorer and watch the same thing. They're all, you know, Dogecoin probably has one too. So yeah, all this is visible on all blockchains.
All of this is great stuff, and it's all food for thought. Again, we've been talking so much about AI that I wanted to give us a bit of a break and go back to a different technology to actually talk about and be able to focus on it. And I do want to see if there's any other questions. Again, as stuff emerges and changes in our industry, to get at least a little bit of a familiarity with this, I think is kind of important, because we will be hearing more and more about these different tools and different technologies that we're going to be able to use. And that's what REIGNation is all about. Eitan loves it when I point to the sign here. Eitan, very briefly.
So I want to talk a little bit how it relates to real estate. So,
Okay.
so I believe that, you know, by using cryptocurrency to close a deal, you could save money on all the banking transactions. So there is that. I know of cryptocurrency, you know, Miami, where I'm from, is very supportive of the crypto market. And there have been a lot. There have been more transactions in real estate in Miami than in other parts of the country. There was a transaction
in crypto.
In crypto, right across the street from where I live. There was a transaction in a brand new building called Arte, where the developer took a payment of $22 million in Bitcoins for an apartment. Now, you know,
When?
that was recently, probably in the last year and a half. So,
So what do they do at that point, Eitan? Do they convert it immediately to US dollar? Because it just seems to me that somebody could, you know, I just looked at my IRA and I see that it's down a little bit, and it's down a lot relative to volatility.
My understanding is the developer was open to receive I don't know, they don't even disclose what type of token they used. So everything about this transaction is super, super secret. Even I tried to look who did the transaction, and it's some company that is veiled, so you don't know the individual behind the company.
Margot could figure that one out. Okay, come on.
Okay, fine.
Let's call Margot next time.
And I can tell you that I made the calculation, and on $22 million, the guy probably saved $400,000 in banking fees on the exchange rate, on the money transfers, on the title company, and all that.
Well, title, you still need title.
Well, you still need title, but you have to understand that you could have the title on blockchain. So it's all about, you know, how many participants are really working on this, because eventually I believe that blockchain will replace the title company. And, you know, title would, blockchain would enable escrow in a very safe way, even safer than a bank. And the title company is going to go away, except for the insurance. You're still going to need title insurance.
And my major takeaway here is that, you know, I mean, while this is still growing, the seller, like that developer, had to be comfortable with going through the transaction this way. And that's where I think we're at the tip of the iceberg, where like the more this gets to be routine comfort levels, you're going to see more transactions like this maybe happen. And you have to understand how they work on the back end.
And when the payment was made, I believe the Bitcoin was at 19,000.
Oh my
and
God.
Today it's at 71,000. So it was all in the advantage of the developer to keep
it could have just as easily gone down. Be very careful saying that.
It could have. But also I would say this, the guy that owned the crypto would have had to pay taxes. And I'm sure that at some point he was able to avoid paying capital gain taxes, because instead of just, selling a crypto on an exchange where everybody, you know, where a tax form is being generated, he could just transfer it from one wallet to another, and it's up to him to report.
That was still a taxable event.
Like we started, it's a digital currency. It's
That was
like paying
still a
with cash.
taxable
And
event.
when
That
you
guy
pay with
owed.
cash, you can do whatever you want.
That's not
But-
true. That's just
But
not
that
true.
developer-
Hold on, time out a second. Eitan, you got to be very careful in this form, especially. That is a taxable event. What you just described, if they avoided it, is a felony. You'll go to jail. Don't do it. Don't
I
stay away.
didn't say they avoided it.
Poo-poo whatever you want, but that was a taxable event here in the state of Florida in the United States. There. I just need to get the disclosure out there. This is not going to be a party to explaining how to cheat the system.
I will also just add that any crypto assets, you know, are taxable, that you have to pay your taxes with crypto. You can't just avoid it.
If you're saying that you could break the law, then fine. People break the law all the time, but just let's be clear, you're breaking the law.
But more importantly, what could have happened, especially knowing what happened in the market, was that developer maybe took possession of that Bitcoin, if it was Bitcoin, and maybe the delay may have made double the transaction just on his own delay of dealing with his cashing out.
It could have, like I said, it could go up, it could go down. We have all
Yes.
that. Aside from John and Eitan, other questions that we have here, I want to make sure that everyone gets a shot.
I have one more thing.
Eitan, you got to be really brief because we.
Okay, there is an exchange for commercial real estate called X10, and they have a smart contract where you go through the auction, you put the bid, and the company is transferred to you immediately at the end of the auction. So there is the speed component here that is amazing. And in the future, it's the way that real estate is going to be transacted.
Okay. I want to get to wants, needs, and brags. And Eitan, if we have a couple minutes at the end to show just one change that we're making to the website, the REIGNation site, if we could just do all that. But I do want to get to wants, needs, and brags. The other hand, Eitan, yeah. Wants, needs, and brags. This is the time for anyone to be able to talk about something that they want, something that they need, or something that they would love to brag about. It could be a charity you're involved in. It could be becoming a grandparent or a niece, or you know, or having a niece or nephew, or it could be a big deal that you actually got. This is the time for all of us to try and rejoice in your successes. And I'd love for anybody to be able to throw this out. Anything at all. It could be a charity that you're involved in. Who's got it right now? To be bold. Be bold. So long as it's not like, you know, something bad. I think Kristen wants to say something, but she can't. I think you're unmuted.
Debating on saying something, but I just became a full professor in real estate at TCU, so just got hired full time, and I'm super excited. So
wow,
I've been teaching adjunct for a while, and I just got hired full time to teach, and I'm really excited. So
this is good. So when you come back, you must wear the cap and gown, so I could call you professor. That's
right.
Isn't that great? Wow, we get a professor.
The first time my kids called me Professor Smith, I was like, "Who are they talking to?"
Yeah. That's great, Professor. No, we could use that kind of intellect because Dina sent me a text in the middle of this. I need a dictionary. She's right. If I had my vocabulary up, I probably would have, you know.
I think in this conversation, I need a dictionary as well. So thank you very much, Margot, for handling and talking to 5-year-olds. So I appreciate that.
Of course. I'm sorry if I understand the stuff. And please, like, there's no such thing as I know people say there's no such thing as a dumb question, and people get annoyed with that. But actually, in this case, there really is no such thing as a dumb question because all this stuff is way overcomplicated.
The only thing I could equate your conversation about it being public was to Venmo, because I don't even understand why Venmo is public.
Yeah.
There's an option for that.
You know, so that's where my brain is. So thank you.
Yeah.
There is an option for that. You can turn that privacy function on.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can.
Because I do not understand why I see
I-
everyone's transactions.
I don't need to know that you tip the dog groomer $20. We really
Exactly.
don't. Nor do
Yeah, I don't get that. I do not get it. Like,
And there are tools on blockchain that do the same thing, that like you can see the transaction take place, but this gets more advanced and you don't really actually see them out. So there are technologies being developed for that.
maybe
I
is that
know-
why all those were zeroed out? Because they maybe took that
No,
out.
I don't. I think that's just like an interaction. That was like an interaction with like some application, I think. But
Validation or something.
So, John, you had one quick question, comment or something?
Well, two things. One on the dumb question. Everyone should watch Dumb Money if you haven't seen it yet. It's an entertaining movie. With the whole GameStop story. And then the second thing was, as a brag, I took on a head coach position at a local private school for a sailing team. So
yes, you are a competitive sailor,
I'm
sailboat.
giving back. I'm giving back to my community and as a head coach.
And
Like a sailboat, like with
Sailboat,
sails
Yes,
on the
sailboat
water?
racing. Yes,
yes,
Wow,
like
awesome.
that. That's
How
that's
big of a
very
boat?
I'm helping form the Utes.
the Utes,
How big are the boats?
They're like 14 feet.
J14s.
No, they're 420s mostly.
Okay. So good. That was I haven't, it's been a long time since I sailed. I do want to get to a couple things with the website. Eitan, are you ready to give a little bit of a description of that for us? Just so everyone could see the functionality?
I'd like to talk about cryptocurrency more.
We are not going to do that anymore, Eitan. we everyone has a time frame, Eitan. You got to rail it in a little bit. We got to actually, come on, we got to move. That said, Terry, are you ready?
I have to go. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
are you ready?
if you want these dulcet
great.
tones.
So we're gonna get to this in a second, but first, I want to thank everyone for coming today. It sure was good having you, and I look forward to seeing everyone next week for another exciting episode of
REIGNation.
Mazel Tov. I love it when he does that. Great. We're not quite over yet, even though we had Terry sing us out.
Have a great day, folks.
Margot, call me about the wallet.
Yes, please send me a message and
I will.
We'll hook you up, but Eitan, I'm pulling up my screen, and I'd like you to explain. You walk me through here. This is the new REIGNation website that Eitan is the champion of, and he's been doing all kinds of great stuff with this. And I'm going actually into the members area. Just for the sake of everyone seeing, explain one thing that everyone could do with this right now or learn from that we can, I really need all of you to get this. You should have all received a login. If you didn't, you could just use your email address and put forgot login, or you could always send an email to Daniel at Bogan Homes and he could help. But Eitan, give us one thing that everyone could do with this site that they should see.
So I think the most valuable asset here is we can see, if you could scroll down, we could see the mastermind video archives.
Right.
And, if you missed anything or you want to refer back to any of our meetings, you can find them here. And it's a full video of the meeting and a little transcript of what was said. And I think that is very valuable, especially if you miss a meeting or you want to refer to a topic that you remember we spoke about and want to exercise it. And so in the member area you have this, and then also you will find the community hub. So
oops, not that. Community hub. Okay.
There you go.
And if you were thinking all those people look like they're AI, well, you're right. They are all AI. Everything we got here is okay. So here we got different circles and things in here. It looks a lot like Facebook, Eitan.
Yeah, it looks like Facebook, but it's a little more powerful and more proprietary. We have different circles, and we have posts that relate to those circles. And could you scroll down a little bit?
Sure.
Through this? So here's some blog posts that we did.
Yeah, but
I basically would encourage the members to engage in our community by commenting on the post and maybe putting your own post. You could put your listings, you could ask for referrals, you could give referrals, and you could check the meetings and when the meetings are on. If you click on the meetup tab.
Yep. And there's other resources, in fact, where one of the things that we have is a file cabinet, which is currently pointing to our Facebook page. Again, we're making some adaptions here, but here we have things that we've collected along the way, like a ChatGPT cheat sheet, or a snail mail plan for farm dominance, or a standard operating procedure. This is one that I'm currently using for my team if you want your own SOP. So again, we are trying to create tools for everybody to be able to embrace and utilize, and that's all that great.
Also, you could do a live meeting with other members of the community without Zoom or anything. It's built into our software.
Yeah.
And you can chat them up, direct message them. And so it's a very powerful communication tool.
Great. So, okay, well, look, that was the, we let out a little bit. Kristen, who's back for the first time in a while, you could see we've grown and we're changing. And I'm basically changing the engine of a race car while it's on the track. It is a daunting thing for us to try and get everyone onto a new system in a new way. This meeting was much smaller than it normally was. I'm convinced it's because people are not getting the emails in the format that they're used to, and they may be missing the meeting. We have to call everyone because of that, but it's going to get better and better and better over the next month. And I guess Margot said she had to leave by 10, and she did already. She's a cute kid, right? It's my niece. So very, very, very proud of her.
Yeah.
Huh?
She's your niece.
It's my niece. That's Lauren's sister.
Oh.
That's Lauren's daughter. You didn't. That's Lauren. That's Lauren's daughter. My
Lauren's
sister.
daughter. No way.
You came in late, Eitan. Okay, that was like the big thing. I need you to pay attention.
And she's here in the U.S.?
She's here in. Well, you're not here in the U.S. She's here in the U.S. You're not here in the U.S.
That's right. I'm not here in the U.S.
That's it. Well, guys, you know.
When it comes to real estate, there's no limitation. Gotta break the mold with some innovation.
Sorry, I just.
Listen up, y'all. I got a revelation. It's REIGNation, ultimate sensation. It's the way to separate.
Anyway, I love it. I think that all this stuff is really neat. Kristen, if you have time, I'd love to catch up with you just after this. I'll give you a buzz. And anybody else?
I just quickly, I think my credit card needs to be updated.
Okay.
So for annual or monthly fees or whatever.
Daniel, if you could reach out to John Bainton, that would be great. And Eitan, I'll call you a little bit later. And thank you all so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed today. We will have the next topic defined. One of the things that actually I could just give you a quick, if you have just another second to bear with me. We talked about it a little bit at the last meeting. If you go to YouTube, I mean, I don't know how many times, and now, Professor, you might actually be interested in this. If you go to YouTube and you actually take a look at a story that was
I even
on YouTube,
started to notice some of the.
you might want to copy it. And on ChatGPT, there is now, for those of you who are subscribed to the more advanced version of ChatGPT, of course, this is taking forever because we're in a Zoom meeting. You could see, where is this thing? Okay. Okay, so this GPT I happen to love because what you could do is take any YouTube video, put it in there, it watches the video in high speed, and it then summarizes the whole
Educational
video.
summary of Taiwan earthquake.
And I've got
Several
it
dead,
set to
hundreds
read to
injured
me.
by video summarizer. Magnitude 7.
So it has all the stuff that you could actually pull up, but I take it a step further and I could say,
Educational
stop, based on what you know about me, can you write a Facebook post with emojis about this topic? And now it's going to be.
Absolutely. Here's a Facebook post idea. Breaking news. Massive earthquake hits Taiwan. Today, Taiwan.
I gotta learn how to shut that off quicker. So here, it basically will give a story. This is about an earthquake, doesn't have much to do with real estate, but you could see the implications. If I go and watch, let's say, a Tom Ferry video about real estate, and he always coined the phrase, rip off and duplicate. Here's an hour-long video. I could take this and I could put it into that same ChatGPT. It's watching it again in high speed. And it gives you a pretty good summary. I mean, it's really not that
Educational
bad.
summary of embracing change. How the now settlement affects you.
I gotta shut that fucking thing. Okay. You know, and we could actually talk about this and dig deep into it and get a lot more content out of it and go back and forth. And now I could say, based on this, can you make a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a blog post? Can you make a script and use my voice with it? One other thing that I want to show everyone.
Generate an image.
Generate an image from it. If you take a look at my 11 labs, which again, there's a reason for this. This is what you're about to listen to is not me. It is a clone of me. Of course, it's taking forever. Actually, you know what? I think I have it over here.
Welcome to 17657 Foxborough Lane, a stunning 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath home nestled in the heart of Boca Raton, Florida. This magnificent property has...
Okay, very robotic.
Welcome to 17657 Foxborough Lane, a stunning...
Very, very robotic. However...
How long did it take you to train it?
About 10 seconds. That's the difference. That if I took more time to train it, I could then replicate the voice. Have a passcode with your family. You have to do this because I guarantee sometime in the next 12 months, you're going to get a call where they say, Mom, Dad, I'm in big trouble. I need you to get me some money. You're going to believe it because you're hearing the voice. You don't need evidence. This is somebody that you love. This is going to be the new level of scam. That's on the downside. On the plus side, I could take my voice. I could take that blog post that I was just showing you that I basically stole from the YouTube channel. I could put it in whatever format I want and send it to Daniel in the Philippines, and he can make it in any format of any kind of story. You no longer have an excuse not to have content. I never want to hear anyone in this meeting say that again. There's so many different ways. That's what next week's meeting is about. We're going to talk about that in greater detail. Again, if you have story ideas or stuff that you want to talk about, please do give me a buzz and let me know. And Kristen, I'm going to call you in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Good to see
Thank you.
everybody.
It's great to be back.
It's good to have you. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Bye.